All right, just clap. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradhari. Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradhari. Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Vishnupad Paramahansa Paravajakacharya Ashtottara Sri Srimad Divine Grace Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. ISKCON BBT Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Paravajakacharya Ashtottara Sri Srimad Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnavinda Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Srimad Bhagavad Gita Ki Jai. Samaveda Bhaktivinda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glory to Shri Guru and Gauranga. Okay. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Okay. On this 6th day of July, 2026 in San Diego, we're reading from Srimad Bhagavad Gita as it is, translation and commentary by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. And we are in Chapter 4, Transcendental Knowledge, text number 3 on page 184. Okay. Sevayam Maya Te Adya Yogaha Proktaha Puratanaha Bhakto Asi Me Sakacheti Rahasyam Hi Etad Uttamam Sehevayam Mayatedya Yoga Protak Puratanaha Bhakto Sime Sakhacheti Rahasyam Yetaruttamam Sehevayam Mayatedya Yoga Protak Puratanaha Bhakto Sime Sakhacheti Rahasyam Yetaruttamam Sehevayam Mayatedya Yoga Protak Puratanaha Bhakto Sime Sakhacheti Rahasyam Yetaruttamam. Luis. Sehevayam Mayatedya Yoga Protak Puratanaha Bhakto Sime Sakhacheti Rahasyam Yetaruttamam. You want to try it, Roy? Sehevayam Mayatedya Yoga Protak Puratanaha Bhakto Sime Sakhacheti Yetaruttamam. Rahasyam Yetaruttamam. Go ahead, try it. Rahasyam Yetaruttamam. Sehevayam Mayatedya Yoga Protak Puratanaha Bhakto Sime Sakhacheti Rahasyam Yetaruttamam. Page 154. I'm sorry, 184. Sorry. Go ahead. Sehevayam Mayatedya Yoga Protak Puratanaha Bhakto Sime Sakhacheti Rahasyam Yetaruttamam. Chaitanya Leela.
Hare Krishna. Prem Gopal and Vanessa are on. I'll let them go first.
Okay, Prem Gopal, go ahead.
Hare Krishna.
Haribo.
Sehevayam Mayatedya
Sehevayam Mayatedya
Yoga Prokta Puratanaha
Yoga Proktak Puratanaha
Bhakto Sime Sakhacheti
Bhakto Sime Sakhacheti
Rahasyam Hetad Uttamam.
Rahasyam Yetaruttamam. Vanessa.
Sehevayam Mayatedya
Sehevayam Mayatedya
Yoga Prokta Puratanaha
Yoga Proktak Puratanaha
Bhakto Sime Sakhacheti
Bhakto Sime Sakhacheti
Rahasyam Yetaruttamam.
Rahasyam Yetaruttamam.
Sehevayam Mayatedya
Sehevayam Mayatedya
Yoga Prokta Puratanaha
Yoga Proktak Puratanaha
Bhakto Sime Sakhacheti
Bhakto Sime Sakhacheti
Rahasyam Yetar Uttamam.
Rahasyam Yetaruttamam. Okay, word by word. Saha, the same. Eva, certainly. Ayam, this. Maya, by me. Te, unto you. Adya, today. Yogaha, the science of yoga. Proktaha, spoken. Puratanaha, very old. Bhaktaha, devotee. Asi, you are. Me, my. Sakha, friend. Sha, also. Iti, therefore. Rahasyam, mystery. He, certainly. Etat, this. Uttamam, transcendental. Translation. Krishna says to Arjuna, that very ancient science of the relationship with the Supreme is today told by me to you, because you are my devotee as well as my friend, and can therefore understand the transcendental mystery of this science. And just to put it in context, I'm going to read the previous translation. This supreme science, which Krishna has said is coming down, that he spoke to Vivasvān, and Vivasvān spoke it to Vivasvān Muni, and so forth, Vivasvān Manu. That same science, the supreme science, was thus received through the chain of disciplic succession, and the saintly kings understood it in that way. But in course of time, the succession was broken, and therefore the science as it is appears to be lost. And so, and he says, that very ancient science of the relationship with the Supreme is today told by me, because you are my devotee as well as my friend, and can therefore understand the transcendental mystery of this science. Purport. There are two classes of men, namely the devotee and the demon. The Lord selected Arjuna as the recipient of this great science, owing to his being a devotee of the Lord. But for the demon, it is not possible to understand this great mysterious science. There are a number of editions of this great book of knowledge, Bhagavad Gita. Some of them have commentaries by the devotees, and some of them have commentaries by the demons. Commentation by the devotees is real, whereas that of the demons is useless. Arjuna accepts Sri Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and any commentary on the Gita following in the footsteps of Arjuna is real devotional service to the cause of this great science. The demonic, however, do not accept Lord Krishna as he is. Instead, they concoct something about Krishna and mislead general readers from the path of Krishna instructions. Here is a warning about such misleading paths. One should try to follow the disciplic succession from Arjuna, and thus be benefited by this great science of Srimad Bhagavad Gita. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnanandana Shalakaya Chakshu Unmilitam Mena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkest of ignorance, but my spiritual master Srila Prabhupada opened my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my humble obeisance unto him and all members of Sri Parampara, the disciplic succession. So, Sahevayam, that very science of the relationship with the Supreme. So that is what Krishna, if you recall, at the very first verse, he's talking about the disciplic succession. This yoga I spoke to Vivasvān, right? The sun god, yeah, and then it came down. So what is this yoga? That's the last verse of the previous chapter. That knowing oneself to be transcendental to the material senses, mind and intelligence, Almighty Arjuna, one should steady the mind by deliberate and spiritual intelligence, Krishna consciousness, and thus by spiritual strength conquer this insatiable enemy known as lust. So the process of bhakti yoga that he's going to now be describing here is that science by which one can steady the mind and fix it on Krishna. And then by spiritual, be given spiritual strength by Krishna, and this conquer the insatiable enemy known as lust. So this lust in general is material desire, which is what keeps us trapped in this material world, birth after birth. And it is our greatest enemy. And sometimes it's said the mind can be the greatest enemy when it's saturated with these lusty desires. So in 6 chapters, the mind can be your best friend, but it can also be your worst enemy. And, you know, having all of us, I guess, in this room come to Krishna consciousness from more or less, we weren't born into it. Maybe you were born into it a little bit. But the point is that generally you have to endeavor to change your consciousness, change the state of your mind and your intelligence. It's the training. Just like any education. You aspire to become a doctor. Well, you got to get trained. You got to learn so many subjects in college, and you have to take postgraduate. I think it's more than just 4 years to become a doctor, and be trained by competent doctors and so forth. So you're training the mind, and you're getting all this information by which you can apply in your medical practice and do good to other people like that, curing. So similarly, this science, it's a science, an ancient science. And so he's speaking it to Arjuna because he's his devotee and he's a friend. That's the idea. That we can become most receptive to the message of Krishna when we're actually practicing devotional service, which is our natural state. We have to really have faith that that is our natural state. Being a conditioned soul, this world, whether it's human body or any other body, is not the natural state of the soul. We're far from our home in the spiritual world and far from our real self. But every living entity, especially in human form, has the potential to reform and to regain our original consciousness and to understand this science and apply it in our lives. So this is invaluable now, and Krishna will continue. So now Arjuna now will doubt. Is a doubt because he's a contemporary to Krishna, right? In other words, they're more or less the same age. They're friends. But Krishna just said, "I spoke to the sun god, millions of years ago." So how is that? I mean, how is that possible? He's representing us here, and then so Krishna will explain in the next few verses why he appears and how he appears in this world, and how his appearance is different from ours. He appears by his own sweet will. We're forced to appear in body after body due to our karma. See, so that's what's going to happen next. If there's any questions on this text we read, we'll entertain them. Otherwise, we'll go on. So this is Arjuna representing us. I doubt. Aparam bhavato janma. Try it again. Aparam bhavato janma. Padam janma vivasvitaha. Katametan vijaniyam. Tvamadau proktavaniti. Arjuna said, "The sun god Vivasvān is senior by birth to you. How am I to understand that in the beginning you instructed this science to him?" Purport. Arjuna is an accepted devotee of the Lord, so how could he not believe Krishna's words? The fact is that Arjuna is not inquiring for himself, but for those who do not believe in the Supreme Personality of Godhead, or for the demons who do not like the idea that Krishna should be accepted as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. For them only, Arjuna inquires on this point, as if he were himself not aware of the personality of Godhead or Krishna. As it will be evident from the 10th chapter, Arjuna knew perfectly well that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the fountainhead of everything, and the last word in transcendence. Of course, Krishna also appeared as the son of Devaki on this earth. How Krishna remained the same Supreme Personality of Godhead, the eternal original person, is very difficult for an ordinary man to understand. Therefore, to clarify this point, Arjuna put this question before Krishna so that he himself could speak authoritatively. That Krishna is the supreme authority is accepted by the whole world, not only at present, but from time immemorial, and the demons alone reject him. Anyway, since Krishna is the authority accepted by all, Arjuna put this question before him in order that Krishna would describe himself without being depicted by the demons, who always try to distort him in a way understandable to the demons and their followers. It is necessary that everyone, for his own interest, know the science of Krishna. Therefore, when Krishna himself speaks about himself, it is auspicious for all the worlds. To the demons, such explanations by Krishna himself may appear to be strange because the demons always study Krishna from their own standpoint. But those who are devotees heartily welcome the statements of Krishna when they are spoken by Krishna himself. The devotees will always worship such authoritative statements of Krishna because they are always eager to know more and more about him. The atheists, who consider Krishna an ordinary man, may in this way come to know that Krishna is superhuman, that he is Satchidananda Vigraha, the eternal form of bliss and knowledge, that he is transcendental, and that he is above the domination of the modes of material nature and above the influence of time and space. A devotee of Krishna, like Arjuna, is undoubtedly above any misunderstanding of the transcendental position of Krishna. Arjuna's putting this question before the Lord is simply an attempt by the devotee to defy the atheistic attitude of persons who consider Krishna to be an ordinary human being, subject to the modes of material nature. Okay. Text 5. Shri Bhagavan Vacha Bahuni me batitani Janmani tabacharjana Tanyaham Veda Sarvani Natvam Veta Parantapa. The Personality of Godhead said, many, many births both you and I have passed. I can remember all of them, but you cannot, O subduer of the enemy. Purport. In the Brahma Samhita 533, we have information of many, many incarnations of the Lord. It is stated there, Advaitamachatamanaadamananta rupam adyam purana purushang navayovanancha Vereshu durlabhamadurlabhamatma bhakto govindamari purusham tamaham bhajami. I worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Govinda, Krishna, who is the original person, absolute, infallible, without beginning. Although expanded into unlimited forms, he is still the same original, the oldest, and the person always appearing as a fresh youth. Such eternal, blissful, all-knowing forms of the Lord are usually not understood by even the best Vedic scholars, but they are always manifest to pure, unalloyed devotees. It is also stated in Brahma Samhita 539, Rama dimudra shakalana yamena tishtan nanavatana makarod bhuvaneshu kintu Krishna swayam samabhavat padamak pomanyo govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajami. I worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Govinda, Krishna, who is always situated in various incarnations such as Rama, Nrsimha, and many sub-incarnations as well, but who is the original personality of Godhead known as Krishna and who incarnates personally also. In the Vedas, it is also said, also in the Vedas, it is said that the Lord, although one without a second, manifests himself in innumerable forms. He is like the Vaidurya stone, which changes color yet still remains one. All those multi-forms are understood by the pure, unalloyed devotees, but not by a simple study of the Vedas. Vedeshu durlabham adurlabham atma bhakto. So Vedeshu durlabham literally means just by studying the Vedas, it's very difficult to understand Krishna. But by becoming a devotee, he's easy to understand. That's what durlabham means. Devotees like Arjuna are constant companions of the Lord, and whenever the Lord incarnates, the associate devotees also incarnate in order to serve the Lord in different capacities. Arjuna is one of these devotees. And in this verse it is understood that some millions of years ago, when Lord Krishna spoke the Bhagavad Gita to the sun god Vivasvān, Arjuna, in a different capacity, was also present. But the difference between the Lord and Arjuna is that the Lord remembered the incident, whereas Arjuna could not remember. That is the difference between the part and parcel living entity and the Supreme Lord. Although Arjuna is addressed herein as the mighty hero who could subdue his enemies, he is unable to recall what had happened in his various past births. Therefore, a living entity, however great he may be in the material estimation, can never equal the Supreme Lord. Anyone who is a constant companion of the Lord is certainly a liberated person, but he cannot be equal to the Lord. The Lord is described in the Brahma Samhita as infallible, achyuta, which means that he never forgets himself, even though he is in material contact. Now, Prabhupada used that word infallible to mean infallible. Cannot fall. Achyuta means fallen. Achyuta means not fallen. So, but here it means, he doesn't make a mistake. That's another meaning. It applies to Krishna also. Okay, which means that he never forgets himself, even though in material contact. Therefore, the Lord and the living entity can never be equal in all respects, even if the living entity is as liberated as Arjuna. Although Arjuna is a devotee of the Lord, he sometimes forgets the nature of the Lord. But by the divine grace, a devotee can at once understand the infallible condition of the Lord, whereas a non-devotee or a demon cannot understand this transcendental nature. Consequently, these descriptions in the Gita cannot be understood by demoniac brains. Krishna remembered acts which were performed by him millions of years before, but Arjuna could not, despite the fact that both Krishna and Arjuna are eternal in nature. We may also note herein that a living entity forgets everything due to his change of body, but the Lord remembers because he does not change his Satchidananda body. He is Advaita, which means that there is no distinction between his body and himself. Everything in relation to him is spirit, whereas the conditioned soul is different from his material body. And because the Lord's body and self are identical, his position is always different from that of the ordinary living entity, even when he descends to the material platform. The demons cannot adjust themselves to this transcendental nature of the Lord, which the Lord himself explains in the following verse. So, this is a nice purport on the difference between the Lord and us. And Prabhupada is quoting the Brahma Samhita a lot here in this purport. Lord Chaitanya found that Brahma Samhita in his travels to South India. He had it copied and brought it back. This is actually the 5th chapter of the Brahma Samhita. Brahma Samhita is much longer. But as you probably recognize, that's where the Govinda prayers come. We hear it every morning, those who are here for the greetings. And it's very authoritative, filled with wonderful description of Krishna. So the main point here is that Krishna, he knows everything. That comes up in the 7th chapter. I remember when I first read this Bhagavad Gita, that was the most amazing thing that really startled me. You know, what is it? Vatitani janmani tabacharjana tanyaham vedasarvaniltam veta parandaba. That I know everything in the past, everything in the present, and everything that will happen in the future. But me, no one knows. And just the fact of that omniscience, you know, I remember in college, no, I think it was high school, we were studying philosophy, and also some, you know, theology, because a lot of the philosophers in past times were also theologians. And they came up with these 3 qualities of God, you know, 3 basic qualities: omnipotence, omniscience, and omnipresence. And those same 3 are mentioned here in the Bhagavad Gita. So that omniscience is like mind-blowing, you know. I mean, we know like a few things. What's going on in his room now? You know, there's all of these living entities, you know, in the corners. We don't even know who they are. There's all these atoms, all kinds of things. I don't know what's going on in your mind. Anyway, we know babkas. I don't know if you know that word. That's a Yiddish word. It means nothing. Luis has heard it before. He's not letting you. Babkas. Babkas. You don't have to memorize that word. Anyway, but you know, as much as we know, and even the great minds, you know, Prabhupada praised Isaac Newton for his statement that you know, because he was well known as a great scientist, everyone knows that I just, you know, I'm standing on the shore of the great ocean of knowledge. You know, as he recognized how much was beyond his ability to know. So that's certainly our nature. But here Krishna, he knows everything. Just imagine what that means. Everything. He knows everything that happened in our life, this life, and everything that's happened in all our previous lives, right? And that will happen, that is happening at this very moment. And this is just mind-blowing. And yet, the most wonderful thing and most endearing thing is that Krishna takes a human form and he relates to his devotees in very human-like ways. You know, and this is because he, you know, he's God and he's Satchidananda Vigraha, he's always full of bliss. Well, what is that bliss? Where is his enjoyment coming from? It's coming from the exchanges of love that he has, you know, with his devotees, Mother Yashoda and all the friends, and of course the gopis and the cows. You know, they all have names. He calls them by name. You know, and so. That's his pleasure. So in order to really enjoy that, he needs to kind of cover his magnificence, like he does with Mother Yashoda. You know, that he lets her bind him. You see, here's the you know, omnipotent God in the form of this little boy. You know, the little boy, naughty boy, And he performs all these mischievous things, you know. And she's relating to him in that way. He allows her to be covered by Yogamaya so she can relate to him as a little child, you know. Because that's where the enjoyment comes. Otherwise, you know, she'll be all in all in reverence. He doesn't want his mother bowing down to him, you know, and being, oh, no. He wants her to chastise him. So that's not, you know, that's not in the omniscience, omnipotence, omnipresence, you know, category. That's another category that Krishna has. So Arjuna is representing us, and Krishna is now telling him, yes, you have forgotten. You were there also, but you forgot. And I think we can all agree. Does anyone here remember his or her past life? Roy? Joseph remembered a little bit of it, for sure. Okay. Well, you're an exception. But you're still fallible. Yeah, they have hypnotic regression. Actually, you can, you know, remember some things. But it's very spotty, to say the least. Anyway, Krishna remembers everything from his past life, everything that's going on now, you know, to imagine. So now Krishna will explain to Arjuna. Arjuna is expressing his doubt. Bahuni me batitani, now Krishna is saying now, Arjuna said, how can I believe that? Because we're contemporaries, you know. So yeah, we both had many, many births. You forgot all of them. You were also there in another capacity, but you forgot. He was there, you know, witnessing his speaking to the sun god. So, okay. So text 6. Or did we do text 6? We didn't do that one yet. No. Okay. Ajopi san abhyatma bhutanam isharopi san prakatim svamadhishtaya sambhavami atmamayaya. Although I am unborn and my transcendental body never deteriorates, and although I am the Lord of all living entities, by my internal energy, I still appear in every millennium in my original transcendental form. Purport. The Lord has spoken about the peculiarity of his birth. Although he may appear like an ordinary person, he remembers everything of his many, many past, quote, births, whereas a common man cannot remember what he has done even a few hours before. If someone is asked what he did exactly at the same time one day earlier, it would be very difficult for a common man to answer immediately. He would surely have to dredge his memory to recall what he was doing exactly at the same time one day before. And yet, men often dare claim to be God or Krishna. One should not be misled by such meaningless claims. Then again, the Lord explains his prakriti, or his form. Prakriti can also mean form. Prakriti means nature as well as sarup, or one's own form. The Lord says that he appears in his own body. He does not change his body, as the common living entity changes from one body to another. The conditioned soul may have one kind of body in the present birth, but he has a different body in the next birth. In the material world, the living entity has no fixed body, but transmigrates from one body to another. The Lord, however, does not do so. Whenever he appears, he does so in the same original body by his internal potency. In other words, Krishna appears in this material world in his original eternal form with two hands holding a flute. He appears exactly in his eternal body, uncontaminated by this material world. Although he appears in the same transcendental body and is Lord of the universe, it still appears that he takes his birth like an ordinary living entity. And although his body does not deteriorate like a material body, it still appears that Lord Krishna grows from childhood to boyhood, from boyhood to youth. But astonishingly enough, he never ages beyond youth. At the time of the Battle of Kurukshetra, he had many grandchildren at home. Or in other words, he had sufficiently aged by material calculations. That probably would use it sufficiently. He was quite aged by material calculations. Still, he looked just like a young man, 20 or 25 years old. We never see a picture of Krishna in old age because he never grows old like us, although he is the oldest person in the whole creation, past, present, and future. Neither his body nor his intelligence ever deteriorates or changes. Therefore, it is clear that in spite of his being in the material world, he is the same unborn, eternal form of bliss and knowledge, changeless in his transcendental body and intelligence. Factually, his appearance and disappearance are like the sun's rising, moving before us, and then disappearing from our eyesight. When the sun is out of sight, we think that the sun has set, and when the sun is before our eyes, we think that the sun is on the horizon. Actually, the sun is always in its fixed position, but owing to our defective, insufficient senses, we calculate the appearance and disappearance of the sun in the sky. And because Lord Krishna's appearance and disappearance are completely different from that of any ordinary, common living entity, it is evident that he is eternal, blissful knowledge by his internal potency. And he is never contaminated by the material nature. The Vedas also confirm that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is unborn, yet he still appears to take his birth in multi-manifestations. The Vedic supplementary literatures also confirm that even though the Lord appears to be taking his birth, he is still without change of body. In the Bhagavatam, he appears before his mother as Narayan, with 4 hands and the decorations of the 6 kinds of full opulences. His appearance in his original eternal form is his causeless mercy, bestowed upon the living entities so that they can concentrate on the Supreme Lord as he is, and not on mental concoctions or imaginations, which the impersonalist wrongly thinks the Lord's forms to be. The word Maya, or Atma Maya, refers to the Lord's causeless mercy, according to the Vivasvān dictionary. The Lord is conscious of all of his previous appearances and disappearances, but a common living entity forgets everything about his past body as soon as he gets another body. He is the Lord of all living entities because he performs wonderful and superhuman activities while he is on this earth. Therefore, the Lord is always the same absolute truth and is without differentiation between his form and self, or between his quality and body, or between his qualities and body. A question may now be raised as to why the Lord appears and disappears in this world. This is explained in the next verse. So this is a very nice description of Krishna's appearance and the fact that it's so different from ours. And just one little, I can't resist the little editorial notes. I hope you're okay with that. But in, let's see, prior to maybe, I don't know, maybe it's 10 years now, this word Atma Maya in the translation, you see that? By my internal energy? That was not in the original translation. If you look in the old publication of the Bhagavad Gita, it just says, I am the Lord of all living entities. Although I am unborn and my transcendental body never deteriorates, and although I am the Lord of all living entities, I still appear in every millennium in my original transcendental form. But the fact that he appears by internal energy, which is contrasted to us, we're just forced to appear. We're not exercising any of our energy. We're just being carried by our karma and by the laws of nature. But Krishna, the master of the eternity, by his internal energy, he appears in various forms. You know, there's one nice verse I'd like to share with you that I recalled recently. It came to me. I think I quoted it in the morning class, but many of you weren't here. This is a verse that I think it's Rupa Goswami. It may not be, but it's a devotee named Govinda Dat. Not Govinda Dat. Mukunda Dat. He's a Prabhupada disciple, and in the 70s he became well known for singing bhajan very nicely. You know, he had some nice recordings of him singing traditional songs. And you know, the years kind of flow together. I forget when he was here, but I think maybe 10 or 15 years ago, he visited here, and he wanted to stay with me because his mother was in a nursing home or something in Temecula, and he wanted to have some, you know, be able to visit her. So he stayed with me, and he was translating this work by Bilvamangal Thakur, which has, each verse ends with this phrase, Govinda Damo Dadamadaveti. I don't know if you're familiar with that. But it was very sweet. And so we had some conversations, and he was chanting a verse that I had already learned, and so whenever we saw each other after that, we would exchange this verse. It's a very nice verse. And it's full of Krishna's names. Krishna Rama Mukunda Vamana Vasudeva Jagadguru Matsya Kachapa Narasimha Varaha Raghava Pahimam Deva Danava Nada Dadi Munindra Vandya Dayanade Devaki Sutta Dehi Metava Pada Bhakti Machanchalam. You can recognize, I think you understand a little bit, right? So the first is just names. He was addressing Krishna, all the different avatars. Of course, Krishna, Rama here refers to Balaram because he speaks of Ramchandra later. Krishna, Balaram, Rama, Mukunda, Vamana. Vamana is the little, probably say the little dwarf Brahmin, who cheated Bali Maharaj. Vasudeva, Jagadguru, the guru of the whole universe. Matsya, he's the fish. Kachapa. Now, can I say turtle incarnation? Or do I have to say tortoise? See, I looked up, I confirmed. Tortoise, they only live on the land. They don't go in the water. Turtle are amphibious. They can go in the land and water. So anyway, the turtle incarnation. Kachapa, that's the Kurma. He's a turtle. Narasimha, Varaha, boar. Raghava, that's Ramchandra. Pahimam, please protect me. You see? So then he says, Deva, Danava, Naradadi, all of the Devas, the demigods, the Danavas, those are the demons, they, Naradadi Muninda, or the best of sages such as Narada Muni, the devotees, they all bow down to you. Deva, Danava, Naradadi Munindra, Vandya, ocean of mercy, Dayanade. And then the prayer, is the prayer coming. Devaki Sutta, O son of Devaki, Devaki Sutta, Dehi me, please give to me. Devaki Sutta, Dehi me, Tavapada Bhaktim Achanchalam, unflinching devotional service to your lotus feet. So it comes out as a prayer. So if you want that verse, write to me, an email, I'll send it to you.
Is it available in YouTube?
I'm sorry?
YouTube, is it available?
Is it available?
Mukunda Datta.
What, this verse, me chanting it?
Mukunda Datta, his poetry or his songs.
Oh, that book?
His songs.
The singing. It may be. I'm not sure. I can, okay. Yeah. I'll try to search and see if I can find it.
And this poetry, is it available?
You mean that the Govinda Damodara Madhaveti?
Yeah.
I don't know if that was ever actually published, but I have it on my computer. I can send it to you if you want. Yeah, I'll make a PDF out of it. Yeah, there's so much treasure we have. So this verse, Krishna is explaining his birth, how it's different from ours, and that's why, Arjuna, you forgot. You forgot, but it did happen. But you were there also, but you forgot. So now here comes a famous verse that. Is it everybody born in India learns this verse as a child? Or only in a devotee family? It's like a very famous verse, right? Yada yada hi dharmasya glanim bhavati bharata abhyutanam dharmasya tadatmanam sujamyaham. Whenever and wherever there is a decline in religious practice, O descendant of Bharat, and a predominant rise of irreligion, at that time I descend myself. All right, manifest myself. Purport. The word Srijami is significant herein. Srijamini cannot be used in the sense of creation because according to the previous verse, there's no creation of the Lord's form or body, since all of the forms are eternally existent. Therefore, Srijami means that the Lord manifests himself as he is. Although the Lord appears on schedule, namely at the end of the Dwapara Yuga of the 28th millennium of the 7th Manu in one day of Brahma, he has no obligation to adhere to such rules and regulations because he's completely free to act in any way at his will. He therefore appears by his own will whenever there is a predominance of irreligiosity and a disappearance of true religion. Principles of religion are laid down in the Vedas, and any discrepancy in the matter of properly executing the rules of the Vedas makes one irreligious. In the Bhagavatam, it is stated that such principles are the laws of the Lord. Dharman tu sakshat Bhagavat Pranitam. This is a phrase uttered by Yamaraj in the 6th canto to his dutas. Okay. So, in the Bhagavatam it is stated that such principles are the laws of the Lord. Only the Lord can manufacture a system of religion. The Vedas are also accepted as originally spoken by the Lord himself to Brahma from within his heart. Tene Brahma Vadayadi Kavaye. This is right, second line of the whole Bhagavatam. Therefore, the principles of dharma, or religion, are the direct orders of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And there's that phrase I just quoted, Dharmam tu sakshat bhagavat pranitam. These principles are clearly indicated throughout the Bhagavad Gita. The purpose of the Vedas is to establish such principles under the order of the Supreme Lord. And the Lord directly orders at the end of the Gita that the highest principle of religion is to surrender unto Him only and nothing more. The Vedic principles push one towards complete surrender unto Him, and whenever such principles are disturbed by the demoniac, the Lord appears. From the Bhagavatam we understand that Lord Buddha is the incarnation of Krishna who appeared when materialism was rampant and materialists were using the pretext of the authority of the Vedas. Although there are certain restrictive rules and regulations regarding animal sacrifice for particular purposes in the Vedas, people of demonic tendency still took to animal sacrifice without reference to the Vedic principles. Lord Buddha appeared in order to stop this nonsense and to establish the Vedic principles of non-violence. Therefore, each and every avatar or incarnation of the Lord has a particular mission, and they are all described in the revealed scriptures. No one should be accepted as an avatar unless he is referred to by scriptures. It is not a fact that the Lord appears only on Indian soil. He can manifest himself anywhere and everywhere, and whenever he desires to appear, in each and every incarnation he speaks as much about religion as can be understood by the particular people under their particular circumstances. But the mission is the same, to lead people to God consciousness and obedience to the principles of religion. Sometimes he descends personally, sometimes he sends his bona fide representative in the form of his son or servant or himself in some disguised form. The principles of the Bhagavad Gita were spoken to Arjuna, and for that matter to other highly elevated persons, because they were highly advanced compared to ordinary persons in other parts of the world. 2 + 2 = 4 is a mathematical principle that is true both in the beginner's arithmetic class and in the advanced class as well. Still, there are higher and lower mathematics. In all incarnations of the Lord, therefore, the same principles are taught, but they appear to be higher and lower in varied circumstances. The higher principles of religion begin with the acceptance of the 4 orders and the 4 statuses of social life. I think that should be the 4 spiritual orders and the 4 social statuses of life, as will be explained later. That's Varna and Ashram. The whole purpose of the mission of incarnations is to arouse Krishna consciousness everywhere. Such consciousness is manifest and non-manifest only under different circumstances. So now that verse that we just read and this present verse 8 are very famous because they explain when and why the Lord appears and what his mission is when he appears. And so clearly one of them is going to be to reestablish Dharma, because that's what he spoke of in text 7. But he also has these other 2 missions, which will be explained in the next verse. All right, so since they go together, why don't we read them together? Paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya cha duskritam dharma sangstapanartaya sambhavami yuge yuge. To deliver the pious and to annihilate the miscreants, as well as to re-establish the principles of religion, I myself appear millennium after millennium. Purport. According to the Bhagavad Gita, a sadhu, holy man, is a man in Krishna consciousness. A person may appear to be irreligious, but if he has the qualifications of Krishna consciousness wholly and fully, he is to be understood to be a sadhu. And dushkritam applies to those who do not care for Krishna consciousness. Such miscreants, or dushkritam, are described as foolish and the lowest of mankind, even though they may be decorated with mundane education, whereas a person who is 100% engaged in Krishna consciousness is accepted as a sadhu, even though such a person may be neither learned nor well-cultured. As far as the atheistic are concerned, it is not necessary for the Supreme Lord to appear as he is to destroy them, as he did with the demons Ravana and Kamsa. The Lord has many agents who are quite competent to vanquish demons. But the Lord especially descends to appease his unalloyed devotees, who are always harassed by the demoniac. The demon harasses the devotee, even though the latter may happen to be his kin. Although Prahlad Maharaj was the son of Hiranyakashipu, he was nonetheless persecuted by his father, although Devaki, the mother of Krishna, was the sister of Kamsa. She and her husband Vasudeva were persecuted only because Krishna was to be born of them. So Lord Krishna appeared primarily to deliver Devaki rather than kill Kamsa, but both were performed simultaneously. Therefore it is said here that to deliver the devotee and vanquish the demon miscreants, the Lord appears in different incarnations. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita of Krishnadas Kaviraj, the following verses, Madhya 20, 263 to 264, summarize these principles of incarnation. Srishti hetuje murti prapanche avatare se Ishwar murti avatara nama dhare mayatita paravhyome sabara avasthan vishwe avatari dhare avataranam. The avatar, or incarnation of Godhead, descends from the kingdom of God for material manifestation. And the particular form of the personality of Godhead who so descends is called an incarnation, or avatar. Such incarnations are situated in the spiritual world, the kingdom of God. When they descend to the material creation, they assume the name avatar. Avatar actually means to descend. There are various kinds of avatars, such as Purusha avatars, Guna avatars, Leela avatars, Shakti-avesh avatars, Manvantara avatars, and Yuga avatars, all appearing on schedule all over the universe. But Lord Krishna is the primeval Lord, the fountainhead of all avatars. Lord Shri Krishna descends for the special purpose of mitigating the anxieties of the pure devotees, who are very anxious to see him in his original Vrindavan pastimes. Therefore, the prime purpose of the Krishna avatar is to satisfy his unalloyed devotees. The Lord says that he incarnates himself in every millennium. This indicates that he incarnates also in the age of Kali. As stated in the Srimad Bhagavatam, the incarnation in the age of Kali is Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who spread the worship of Krishna by the Sankirtan movement, congregational chanting of the holy names, and spread Krishna consciousness throughout India. He predicted that this culture of Sankirtan would be broadcast all over the world, from town to town and village to village. Lord Chaitanya, as the incarnation of Krishna, the personality of Godhead, is described secretly, but not directly, in the confidential parts of the revealed scriptures, such as Upanishads, Mahabharata, and Bhagavatam. The devotees of Lord Krishna are very much attracted by the Sankirtan movement of Lord Chaitanya. This avatar of the Lord does not kill the miscreants, but delivers them by his causeless mercy. So just a couple of words, and then we'll have a few poems. These missions of the Lord that he says, these three, Partatanaya, to protect deliver the pious, annihilate the miscreants, and to reestablish religion, he appears millennium after millennium. Well, as devotees of Krishna, we also want to take part in those missions for deliverance of the devotees. So, as devotees, we're a team in a sense. You know, how do devotees relate? Well, the first thing is they relate to other devotees, and we relate by glorifying the Lord together, helping each other on devotional service, and generally feeling the fact that Krishna is in the center of the relationship, and that makes it the most meaningful. So, but then vinashaya to duskritam, to destroy the miscreants. Now this has come up in the morning class. That this is the mission of the Krishna conscious movement. Prabhupada says is also this mission that Krishna has. But we're not going to kill the miscreants. Krishna kills the miscreants, such as Kamsa and Hiranyakashipu, on and on, like that. But we follow in the mood of Lord Chaitanya. We kill the demoniac nature of the miscreants by preaching to them, by trying to get them to chant Hare Krishna, giving them Krishna consciousness. And not that we're physically going to go around, and kill miscreants. And to reestablish Dharma. So what is the real Dharma? Well, that's explained right at the beginning of the Bhagavatam. That the real Dharma is that which engenders devotional service. Savai pungsang paro dharmo yato bhaktirat hokshije. That which engenders devotion to the transcendent Lord, which has to be really successful, have no material motivation and to be constant. That's what we aim for. So anyway, this is the mission of the Lord, and we want to help Him in that mission. First of all, by becoming serious devotees ourselves, and then by also destroying the demoniac nature of people by inviting them to come to the temple and chant Hare Krishna, giving them prasadam, and just as our demonic nature has been destroyed as well. Well, okay, time for one poem. We need another. Maybe we should start the class at 7 o'clock. What do you think? Anyway. All right, so let's see. All right. This is Anghak Sanghadatakidang Sakadudihare Vasakalalokasya Tadaniti Vatamila Jaladin Jayijitakan Mangalang Hare Nama. You can repeat? No, I'm just kidding. So this is this is the translation. The poem is based on the translation of the verse and Haridas Thakur's explanation of it. When the moon is invisible, withered to nil, and the sun is long gone from the sky, then an ocean of darkness envelops this world, and the timorous fear they might die. But that thick pall of gloom is at once swept away when the first signs of sunrise appear, and the dawning of day gives assurance to all that in truth there is nothing to fear. In a similar way, when illusion holds sway and the soul has forgotten his Lord, then the darkness of ignorance covers his heart. Sin and suffering are his reward. But as soon as he says Krishna's name even once, in a manner that doesn't offend, then his ignorance flees like the darkness at dawn, and his sin and his suffering end. So there's nothing to fear, for the sun of the name has appeared with his powers divine. In your heart may that sun, benedictive for all, become fixed and eternally shine. All glory to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you.